Hey everybody, welcome back to another question and answer. Today we're talking about self-concept. And what does that mean? Your self-concept is basically a definition of how you see yourself. So what is it made of? It's made of two parts. One we know about, and the other one we don't get talked about very much. Self-esteem and self-efficacy. So what's the difference and how do they mix together in order to create our self-concept? Saturday Night Live had two really great skits that are basically a social commentary. And we'll use both of these skits to be able to understand a little bit about each of these. So first of all, let's clarify the one that we already know a little bit about, but let's make sure we understand it fully. Self-esteem actually comes from the same Latin word as estimate. So like a home or a car or jewelry appraiser, they assess an item and then they esteem or estimate the value or the worth of that item. Self-esteem is our own personal assessment of ourself, and then we put our own worth or value on top of that. The beginning of Stuart Smalley's Saturday Night Live skit really hits self-esteem on the head on how we value ourselves.
I deserve good things. I am entitled to my share of happiness. I refuse to beat myself up. I am an attractive person. I am fun to be with.
These statements we may not fully believe about ourselves, but these affirmations hit the right areas. It's really about what do we believe that we deserve in our lives. Do we believe that we deserve love and belonging, of blessings, of good things to happen in our lives? This is what our self-esteem tells us about ourselves. Let's go through the characteristics of low self-esteem. Now there's 6 items to assess yourself with. Number 1, feeling of unhappiness. They also feel very anxious. Feelings of inferiority, but also could be feelings of superiority. Usually people with low self-esteem, they value themselves as less than others. But sometimes people can feel like they are superior to others, and it's just a cover for their low self-esteem. Number 4 is impatient with themselves or others. 5 is they have externally oriented goals. They look and see what everyone else has in values, and then they compare themselves to that. And social media can be a big part of why people's self-esteem does go down. Now, if you have all 5 of these, it can tend to push you to be a little bit more negative. So what are the concepts of high self-esteem? There are 7 items with this one. Item number 1 is that they can be responsible. 2 is they can be goal committed. They also have a sense of genuineness where they can just kind of be themselves no matter where they are, no matter who they're with. Number 4 is they can be forgiving of others and themselves. 5 is they have more internal type of values. They look at what they think is most important and they judge themselves off those, and they kind of let society kind of do its own thing. They have a realistic outlook. People with low self-esteem or an inflated ego can also be negative and claim that they're a realist.
I'm a truth teller. Some people can't handle it.
It's a dangerous thing to mistake speaking without thought for speaking the truth.
High self-esteem helps us to see things as they really are. Even if it's, I didn't do well on that test, I need to learn how to study better. 7 is self-improvement. So how can self-esteem be improved? There's 5 main items with this, and they go in order. The first one is you need to eliminate self-talk that is negative. First and foremost, and the comedy of Stuart Smalley's Saturday Night Live skits is the fact that he doesn't take his own advice.
Those negative thoughts are your critical inner voice saying those things to you, and I want to replace those negative thoughts with something positive, a daily affirmation.
And he'll be telling you one thing, and then he'll be talking himself down in the next.
I am just a fool. I don't know what I'm doing. They're going to cancel the show. I'm Gonna die homeless and penniless. I'm 20 pounds overweight, and no one will ever love me.
And this brings up understanding guilt versus shame. Guilt is I did something wrong and I can change. Shame is I am something wrong and I can't change. I see a good friend who knocks on the door and comes over and is able to give us feedback is someone who's welcome. But shame is like the ants from the Geico commercial.
You're slouching again, Ted.
Expired. Expired. Expired.
Thanks, Aunt Bonnie.
It's a lot of house. I hope you can keep it clean.
And they need to go.
I just don't think it helps beating yourself up that way.
You're right, it's just thinking.
Number 2 is we need to recognize our strengths. Number 3 is we recognize our self-worth. Number 4 is we accept our mistakes. And number 5 is we can accept rejection. Here's a clip from The Devil Wears Prada. The important part of this is when Andy accepts the rejection and that she could do better, and how interesting Miranda's face is at the end of it.
So, won a national competition for college journalists with my series on the janitors union, which exposed the exploitation of... Yeah, okay. You're right. I don't fit in here. I am not skinny or glamorous, and I don't know that much about fashion, but I'm smart. I learn fast, and I will work very hard.
I've got the exclusive on the Cavalli for Gwyneth.
Miranda does not represent us. She represents our negative self-talk and how it will listen when we are really firm with it. So don't mistake positive thinking for changed thinking. We need to be able to say things like, I'm a person who needs to learn, and I can. We can say things like, I have courage when I'm facing something difficult. I'm persistent. Notice these statements are specific to who we are, and they give us that type of a value.
You know what? I think this is the best show I've ever done. And you know what? I deserve it, because I'm good enough, I'm smart enough, and doggone it, people like me.